This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Radar, and I'm so excited to be speaking with Zach Braff about directing Shrinking. How are you, Zach?
I'm good. How are you, Abe?
Good, good. We spoke once before, 12 years ago, over the phone for your film, The High Cost of Living.
Wow.
I was just reminiscing about that a bit, and I think actually there's a lot of themes that from that I see in your most recent film that you directed, A Good Person.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you.
but I'd love to start with something a little bit lighter, which is this dramedy Shrinking. What is your approach like when you come in to direct just one episode of a show that has an entire season?
Well, I've never done this before. When I directed Ted Lasso, it was episode two, so it was quite early on. It was a little bit of a different vibe. They were shooting the pilot while I was there prepping, so um, that was a different experience. This is the first time I've ever come onto a show that had already shot seven episodes, and I had actually, just kind of dropped in to their world. But the crazy thing is, I had only seen the pilot. I had read all the other scripts, but the pilot was the only one that was cut. So it's a bizarre assignment. You watch the pilot and then you read the other scripts, but they haven't been materialized or they aren't available to be seen yet. And then you've got to dive in and stay within the sort of lexicon of the pilot, but then find a way to make it your own and do something unique with the script that you've been given. It was a lot of fun. Great cast, obviously, incredible script, and it was fun for me because I think Bill gave me one that kind of broke out of the. He tends to do that. He gives me really good ones. Biscuits on Lasso was a really special episode, and Boop on Shrinking it was a really special episode. It wasn't, the show is relatively contained, and with this one, he kind of all the characters break out. Some of the three of them go on a quest to find missing Alice and run into peacocks and kids getting high in a gazebo, and then you have the other three who go on an adventure to the art gallery. So it was really a fun episode that was different than the rest.
As I was revisiting it, I was thinking of it sort of like a set of buddy comedies, which works
Yeah,
pretty well.
yeah,
It's definitely a fun episode. There are also some moments I think that just had me laughing out loud so much, like Jimmy telling the college student that Alice was 12, and
yeah.
Brian being upset that people thought he was the same age as Paul.
My hardest laugh of all, and I've obviously seen it so many times, but I laugh every time when they're explaining to Alice that they had sex and they're apologizing, and then and he says it wasn't all in the bed, and she's like, don't. And he says there was some standing. That gets me every time.
Is it difficult to direct a show where obviously I assume there are some ruined takes from laughter?
Yes, definitely. And also, Bill, has so many years of doing this, but he also started in sitcoms. So there's plenty of times where he'll just bust a take because he reverts back to the sitcom world where you can just bust out laughing out loud. We all do that actually. But yeah, sometimes the sound mixer comes over, because we know when we're going to cut it, like if we're clear of overlapping them and we laugh, it's fine. We'll just snip it out. But there's times when the sound mixer would come over and goes, guys, you're getting awfully close to overlapping the line. But it's hard because it's just so fucking funny. Um, and also heartfelt. That's what's so great about Bill's shows and this one in particular is that, you know, you're laughing and laughing, and then you've got tears in your eyes. And that's just the magic of Shrinking.
Yeah, and I think Jimmy, shouting "I love you" after Alice says "I hate you" is one of those moments that just resonates because there's something funny about it. It's an absurd response, but it's also a very natural, wonderful
Yes.
thing to say.
Yes. And then Jason did a couple takes at the end that were so wonderful. And then just in one, he kind of looked to the heavens to sort of check in with his wife, which I'm getting goosebumps as I recount. And and I just said, "Oh, we have to use that." I mean, how could we not use that? It was so powerful. It was such a cool choice. Um, so yeah, and then yeah, so that one ends with a bit of a wallop.
I also enjoyed Gabby's art show meltdown. I thought that was just it,
Yes.
she's always sort of in control of the situation, and to see her just go in way too much is really delightful.
That was such a fun set. We built that entire art gallery on the Warner Brothers lot, and this wonderful artist. We used his art and blew it up huge because it isn't normally that big, but we blew it up. And we had a lot to accomplish in that art gallery, but such good actors and just a really fun space to play in. And then you have the brilliant Krista Miller and Jessica and Luke and just all of them playing together. And there's just so much humor, but we've all been there. Everyone can relate to all the feelings that are expressed by Jessica dealing with her ex and being happy for him, but also being confused by it. And then you have Krista Miller with the laser pointer. So it's the perfect mix of we empathize with the character, but at the same time we're laughing so hard at some of the things that are happening behind the scenes.
It's also fun to imagine you directing Krista, just because watching you on Scrubs so many years ago and how Jordan just completely eviscerated JD at every possible moment. It's entertaining.
Yeah, and she's one of my best friends in real life, and I just love directing her because she's so. First of all, she's really just found herself with this part. I think she's a wonderful comedian who's been doing this for so many years successfully, but I just feel like this role is the most perfect for her. I think she's just crushing it, and it is so fun to direct her because we have such a history, and we literally have so many years of references. I can say, oh, try one like, do you remember when XYZ happened? Not even directing her on Scrubs, but like I'm being on vacation together and be like, oh my God, remember when that happened? Play one like that. So we just have such a deep history together. And she's so willing to play around and try things different ways. So that's really fun. She's the one I obviously have the most history with. The rest of them, I knew Jason as an acquaintance, but this is the first time I worked with everyone else, especially the living legend, Mr. Ford.
How has your working relationship with Bill evolved over the past few decades?
Just better and better. We just so clear. We have the same taste. We really do. The same things make us laugh. The same things move us. He's the first person I call when I, have a rough cut of my movies and I want to get his 2 cents. Um, so when I hand in a director's cut, I have a really good sense of what he's going to want. I could even say to the editor who knows him far less than I do, don't use that shot. Bill's going to hate that shot. Or I'll say, definitely play the joke in that 2 shot. I'm telling you, Bill's going to want to play that in the 2 shot. I just know his sensibility, partly because I grew up learning, Scrubs was some grad school for me, not just from Bill, but from all the wonderful directors who directed Scrubs. It was such an education. I went to film school at Northwestern, but I feel like doing 9 years of Scrubs was 9 years of grad school working with the best comedy directors in television, who taught me so much. So through them and Bill, I really feel like I have a good sense of what his instinct is going to be.
And as you mentioned, you directed episode 2 of season 1 of Ted Lasso, but then you
Yeah,
didn't return to do any more. Do you
yeah.
plan or hope to come back to do more of Shrinking?
Oh, absolutely. I was signed up, I think, to do 2 or 3. I forgot whether it was 2 or 3, but then obviously the strike has us all on pause. But I'm definitely, the second we're back, I'm definitely gonna direct 2 or 3 more. I love it. It's such a fun place to work. I love directing Harrison. It's just such a surreal experience, and he's such a nice man and so open to, once someone like me. I've had a chance to direct a few living legends in my life: Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, uh, now Harrison Ford, amongst some others. And once you get over your own mental barrier of being intimidated, because those 3 men in particular are totally willing and open to be directed. They want to be directed. What's your take? Be a leader, And so once I get over my own insecurity about the thing, then you're off to the races, and you can really make something great because you've just gotten over, your fear. And Harrison was great like that. He wants to be directed. He wants to make you laugh, and he's having so much fun making this show. I mean, I think he really loves working on a comedy.
I just saw the new Indiana Jones last night, and so it's nice to see him in this more, I wouldn't, relaxed is the wrong word, but just more, generally funny context.
He loves it. I mean, he just, it's so funny. You think of like this living legend actor, and at the end of the day, he still wants to entertain like every actor. When he makes the crew laugh, he feels good, just like just like the rest of us actors. And so you can see him having so much fun as he discovers something, or if I say, "Ooh, try this," and he tries it and he gets a laugh, like you can see the joy. That's what's just so much fun about working with him is you go, wow, this, no matter who you are, there's still this joy in entertaining people. That's what we actors, all we want to do.
And I did notice another TV directorial credit that worked with Brett Goldstein, and that's the pilot episode of Solos. What was it like working on that show?
Um, I loved Solos. That was with Anne Hathaway. Um, and that was a bizarre time because it was right when the pandemic began, and no one knew what to make. Like, how do you even make something? Everyone was obviously, as you recall, in a panic mode, and so Amazon came up with this idea of doing actors alone in rooms by themselves. And I recall I was told you can't even have a camera operator within 6 feet of the actor at the time. So not only we had masks, we had masks, then we had the face shield, and we couldn't put an operator or even a dolly grip or an AC within 6 feet of Anne Hathaway. And so it was a really interesting challenge. And I only had 3 days to shoot it. But it was such a cool challenge, and Anne really brought it, and it was cool because that wasn't even meant to be the first episode, but Amazon liked it so much they made it the pilot, which was an honor.
Great. I also, when I think back about your directing, I remember seeing Garden State almost 2 decades ago now, and Wish I Was Here. And now you're sort of moved on to making films that you're not in. Do you have a desire to continue acting in your own projects?
I don't know. It's a great question. My instinct now is not to, because I personally find it a smidgen distracting when the director shows up. Not necessarily this is just weird rules I've made for myself that I'm sure I'll break. But in a series, I don't find it weird. But like if I'm making a feature and I'm not mostly in it, and then I just show up, I find it a little bit distracting because I, as the audience member, always go, "Oh, there's the director," and it pulls me out. Um, but who knows? I did find directing a good person, and not being in it, just letting Florence Pugh and Morgan Freeman and Molly Shannon shine, and it's like swimming with weights on when you direct yourself, and then to have the freedom to not have to go to hair and makeup and act as well, because there's so much going on in your mind as a director, not just what's happening now, but planning for tomorrow and planning for later, and as a producer dealing with all the stresses of planning the next day and everything. So then to go have to act is always so seemingly impossible. So this time with a good person, I really loved removing that, because then I could really just focus on making sure that I was being a as good a director as I could be. And I think it, in my opinion, I made a better film because of it.
Yeah. Before I let you go, we had Krista Miller on the TV Topics podcast recently, and she said that the only thing standing in the way of a Scrubs movie is having to convince Bill to make it. Are you on board also? And is there
Oh
anything
yeah,
else holding
everyone's on
this up?
board. Even I'll give you the exclusive. Even Bill's on board. It's just a matter of it's just a matter, I think, of finding the home for it, and also of which it's clear there are a few options, and then I think finding what the angle is, because none of these people would be working in the same hospital anymore. Obviously, I think that's too big of a stretch. So I think it's a matter of timing, making sure all the people that are a part of the Scrubs community are available to do it, and then Bill, I think, cracking, what's the angle, what brings all these people together again, and then a matter of just time, because he's a busy man, as one of the busiest showrunners in town. But I think in our minds it's a foregone conclusion it's going to happen, because the idea of all of us getting together and just having an excuse to be together and laugh together is something we all would cherish.
I totally agree. I am looking forward to that. And thanks so much for your time, Zach.
Thank you, Abe. I really appreciate it.